All right, welcome everybody to Ignite Session 5. Session 5, we're going to start getting into the actual nitty-gritty of the of this business, of this career, of this journey, of this path. All right, and so I want to just intro with some understandings, right? Some things that we need to make sure we have in our mind. I'm a big mindset guy, and there's a reason for that. This job is simple, and the only thing that gets in our way is our mindset. It's the only thing holding us back from anything we ever want to do in life. Generating leads can cause a lot of mindset shifts. All right. When you guys first decided to sign up for real estate, you were excited. Going through the schooling, you became stressed and less excited. You had things to do. Then you get done with your schooling and you have a sigh of relief. Okay, you pass your test, you get your license. You have a sigh of relief. Now things get exciting again. Now I have a license. Now I can go out and do the job. And then as soon as you start with a brokerage, a large dose of reality hits us like a ton of bricks. 90% of our day is generating leads. 10% of our day is actually working on the actual file or transaction. For those of you starting off, not with any deals going on, 100% of your day is generating leads, right? Now I get there's emails to attend to, there's marketing to be prepared, there's trainings you got to go to, but 100% of your time is devoted on learning the skills necessary to generate leads. So now that we've talked in about 4 different sessions about becoming the best real estate person you can, getting our mind wrapped around why we do what we do, figuring out our value propositions, understanding that we are taking this from a job to a career. A lot of us get our license and think we have a new career. And I think that's because we teach. Don't tell people you started a new job. Tell people you made a transition into real estate. That sounds like a career. People want to work with career professionals, not people just getting by doing a job. However, we have to understand in our heads that we need to do a job. You need to be working full-time hours if you want full-time pay. The cool part about real estate is I can work full-time hours and I can get a lot of pay. I can work on my skills and my craft to work part-time hours for full-time pay. This industry is so robust and so cool. We just got to make sure that we keep this guy cool. All right. So let's talk about generating leads. All right, course overview. Obviously, like I said, we got the real estate expert of choice. We got the first section done. We're jumping into lead generation now. The nitty gritty around what we need to do. And we've got some people in here that have made some breakthroughs. So I'll probably call on some people here, like I always do. All right, this is a big one. This is a big one. All right, the 6 core competencies in business. I think one of the main reasons, you guys, I chose Keller Williams, one of the main reasons after interviewing with multiple different brokerages, I found out that Keller Williams is pretty much the only place that teaches you guys how to run a successful business. I don't know how to say this, so I hope it comes out of Bruce's mouth correctly. But if you look around at our offices and our market centers, you will very, very rarely find agents who are very old. That's for a reason. It's not because we don't care for old people. It's because we've taught people how to do the job, do a business, create that business, and create a life worth having. All right. I don't really believe, and there may be some outliers in this room, but I would have to say the vast majority of people that get into this career and in this industry don't necessarily want to be doing it when they're 70, 75 years old. Okay. At that point in time, you want to get into leadership. You want to not necessarily be retired, but you don't necessarily want to be pounding the pavement, going to open houses and lead generating when you're 75 years old. All right. One of the best things that we do at KW is teach people how to run a business. First, we're going to get you into production. That's step one. Step two is, but along the way that we're getting you into production is we're creating habits for a business. So that way you can start to learn how to manage your money. Again, I don't have anybody's names. I don't want to pick on anybody. But if you start to interact with the people, that are 75 years old doing real estate, and you actually start to get to the root, they're unhappy that they didn't sock away money and invest where they needed to create retirement for themselves. You see, we get a commission check, and it's our job, it's our duty for us in our lives to make sure that we treat this as a business. You need to hold back taxes, and you need to hold back retirement funds. All right, we're going to teach you how to run a business so that way you aren't the agent at 70, 75 years going, I have to go to a listing appointment, even though I want to go to my grandson's choir concert. You don't want to be that person. None of us signed up for that, but some of us fall into that. So let's go through the 6 core competencies of business. Lead generate. Present to buyers and sellers, show buyers show buyers houses, market to sellers, write and negotiate contracts, coordinate the closing, and manage your money. That's it. There's a lot of things not on here, and that's why we talk about the 80-20 principle, you guys. Focus on the top 20%. The top 20% is the business you need to do. Here's your 6 core competencies through that. Lead generation and fears and myths. All right, we talk about this all the time. I think lead generation is very difficult. Julie, is it very difficult? The actual action.
It's much less difficult than I made it.
Awesome. We all think it's much more difficult than it is. I don't have time to lead generate. Julie, I'm just gonna pick on you. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm very proud of you, and that's why I pick on people. I don't have time to lead generate. A couple of weeks back, Julie and I looked at her calendar, and she is a single mother of 2 young boys. All right. She has to pick them up. She has to drop them off. She has to go to baseball. She has to do all of these things. So we looked at her calendar, and we figured out a system to do full-time real estate in the hours of her constraints. And she's doing it. I don't know what to say. I'm not an expert. I don't know where to go next. What if they say this? What if they say that? Just do it, and you will start to see the results will start to show up. And you know more than the general public, just simply having your license. I will get you from B to C. You need to get yourself from A to B. I'm afraid of making mistakes. What if I fail? Well, let me tell you, there's no such thing as a real estate emergency. I have never once made a mistake that killed somebody. All right. If I do, it's because I'm careless. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Be cognizant. There's no such thing as a real estate emergency. If somebody falls through the stairwell at a house, that's not a real estate emergency. That's a medical emergency. Okay. Anything that we're cultivating in our head around lead generation is never, ever an emergency. And the mistakes that you make may cost you some money, but not doing anything costs you costs you tons of money. That makes sense? You may fumble, you may make mistakes, you may lose deals, you may lose business, but those mistakes are also learning moments. Did anybody in here pay for college? Was that a waste of money? Depends on how you look at it, okay? You went to college for education. You didn't go to college to get a job. You went to college for education to help you get that job. So whenever I think about real estate mistakes, and in particular, the mistakes that cost me a deal, I don't think about it as a $10,000 mistake. I think about it as a $10,000 learning moment. Coming from a guy who spent $112,000 on college education that I do not use in the slightest form, was that a mistake? No, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the world. I learned a lot about who we are, what we do, how we interact. how the world works, the politics behind every organization that's out there. Quit being afraid of making mistakes and go do it. It's much more simple than you're making.
If you're afraid to make a mistake, then you'll never move forward because you'll always be afraid that you made that mistake. I always tell people, make mistakes because you will. Just learn from those mistakes so you don't make the same mistake twice, right? So
Bingo.
it's good to make mistakes. It's good to grow from that mistake.
Bingo. All right. We don't have to read through all of these, but the one thing that I want to point out here is, lead generation is actually easy. It's just not fun. Get over that now. Lead generation is not the fun part about this job. The fun part about this job is when you start to understand that lead generation can be mixed with the things that cause fulfillment and happiness in your life. But even when I'm playing soccer and I'm very excited and I love playing soccer and I love interacting with all of my people, it's still not fun for me to ask for business, but it's necessary. All right, lead generation. We got to also understand that lead generation comes in multiple facets. And I like this graphic. I wish there was a little bit of maybe arrows and some highlights on it, but let me go through it. Julie, you can see my mouse go around this person in the middle, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. This is you. Okay, this is you. And these different little rings here are the different people in your life. All right, so we call this the inner circle. You have some people that are very close to you. That's your very close inner circle. That's a very small pond to fish in typically. Those are the people you know, love, and trust. They're your direct family members. They're the people that you hang out with, engage with. They're your best friends. They're the people that do the same thing as you do. And so on and so forth. You have another ring. You have other people in your life that are good friends. You see them often, right? But they're not necessarily the person that you think of right away to call up and ask to watch your kids. They're not necessarily the people that you call up right away because you have an extra ticket to go to a concert. But they're still friends and you see them and you interact with them. So on and so forth, you guys, these circles, all right? Now, here's the epiphany. Here's why I wish there was a little bit more graphics to this. If this is you in the middle, and then this is the people in your life or your database or your sphere of influence, I don't care what you want to call this graph for the time being. This is you and these are your people. Understand, here's the key point. Go ahead and take this person right here. They as well have their own circle. Our job in lead generating is not just to pick the brains of the people in our circle. Our job is to infiltrate and create a mind share with everybody we know, so that way they tap into their circle and lead generate for us. How many of you guys are hoping that someday you will have a database that just gives you leads? We all are, right? We all want leads given to us. So the first step is you guys need to infiltrate your circle of friends, your sphere, your database. You need to infiltrate them. So that way, when they stand in the middle of their sphere and they hear about this person in their life that is thinking about doing something with real estate because they just so happen to be at a barbecue with them, they want to connect that person with you. Done right, you will get a database that does this. But the first thing in thinking about your database and thinking about how we go through and lead generate is understanding that the person that I'm talking to knows 100 other people. And my job is to not sell the person that I'm talking to a house or sell their house. My job is to make them think so much and so highly of me that when they see somebody in their circle of friends or influence, they refer that person to me. That's how you get your phone to ring with other people that say, hey, I was talking to Colton Davis the other day, and I told him that I was looking to buy a home, and my God, he was adamant on making sure that I gave you a call. Is there any reason why I should, definitely be working with you. Like, he was adamant, and it was kind of weird. I'm doing the right things. I'm making sure Colton Davis understands there's no other real estate agent in the entire universe that his friend should use besides Bruce. All right. Income potential. These numbers work. We always talk about the numbers. Always talk about the numbers, right? 250 people on our phone list. We have a potential of closing an opportunity from contacts of about 20. Potential referrals in our database are at about 10% or 25 of those. You guys understand that if you have a 250 person database, okay, this is like, I want to show you guys this math works so well, it's unreal. For those of you guys that have taken my sphere of influence classes and done all of those things, you understand that I have 183 people in my database, or my sphere of, 183 people in my sphere of influence. With those 183 people at the height of my career, I was able to close 51 deals. I closed 50 deals on average like clockwork with 200 people in my database. Now, understand, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. It did take me a couple of years to do this, but this is the math, and this is why I was able to be very successful with a very small number of people. Because every single year, I pretty much hit very similar to these metrics. I would close about 20 people in my database. And the rest came from pretty much their referrals. And then go ahead and sprinkle in leads and closings that I got from door knocking, cold calling around open houses and open houses. That pretty much made up my year, which is why I'm a big proponent of open houses. But if you really understand what I'm trying to say is, I was doing open houses at a high level, maybe, 2 to 3 a week. And I was able to close about 9 or 10 of those from open houses, but the majority came from my database. When I had no database, when I had no sphere of influence, when I moved out here from Ohio and had nothing, well, I had to grow that. And so since I didn't have an SOI to call every day, then I needed to beat the pavement. I door knocked like a son of a gun, and I did open houses 6 to 8 a week, because I know I wanted this. I saw these numbers and I thought, this is what I want my job to be. This is how I can create a career. I don't want to do open houses the rest of my life. I don't want to be 75 years old doing this. So I need to build a business. And I can tell you that I don't run as high as some of these other folks do, but I run at about 83% career-wide repeat and referral business through my sphere of influence. That's what I'm talking about when I say the phone rings for me now. I get emails that say, Bruce, it's been a while. And I think, oh crap, I missed my quarterly call with this person. They call me and trust me to do the job for them or for their family or for their friends. This is a pretty cool chart too, you guys. We have an average of $15,000 commissions. So go ahead and take this by the third. You can make $225,000 doing a third of the transactions that this opportunity has. I hated numbers coming into this, you guys. I couldn't stand it. I thought they were awful. Numbers are not Bruce's thing. I'm not a high C in the slightest, but I understand that the numbers work and I need to track them. Being a business owner, you better get over the numbers. You have to track. Julie says about 40 contacts last week. She's not tracking. That's okay. She's tracking something in her head. But Jake said 34. He's tracking and tallying every single conversation. All right. It's not that Jake is better than Julie. It's that over time, Jake is setting himself up to not be the 75-year-old agent. And over time, Julie's going to make that choice. Am I going to wing my career, or am I going to get methodical and run a business? And she's well on her way. I'm picking on her right now because of her interactions earlier, but she's well on her way. I personally don't know a lot of people who have put the effort in like Julie has in the last 3 months. There are some outliers out there. I definitely wasn't going to give you that, but Julie's on camera, so I'm picking on her.
The reason that for me it's difficult to track, and I know I'm trying to become more laser focused on tracking. Like, we get the greatness tracker. I have my own spreadsheet. I have, the different variations on how I'm tracking. I'm going back through my phone. Was it a text? Was it a call? So I don't always have whatever tracking method right in front of me. So I always conservatively undershoot what I know I'm making for my own purposes. Like, I tell myself, I know I'm missing at least, 5 or whatever it is, but I don't have it like all in one succinct place to try to transfer it all the time. And that's just too much work for me. So I rather know I'm coming close within 5-ish than however the magic is of not, that I haven't figured out yet.
And it will come. It will come. You will have a moment in your life where you go, okay, I've been tracking well. I've got things down. And now I have the time and I have the systems and models and structure to track everything. It's the same thing as a new restaurant. It's the same thing with the new, anything new, any new business that comes up. Nobody tracks everything they're going to 5 years from now. You can't start that way.
Yeah,
That's
it's
great,
also
Julie. I love the way you look at that.
Partly my personality too is like this whole business aspect, this tracking, this like admin stuff, not my jam. Like, I want to talk to people. I want to make relationships. I want to build trust. I want to dog all day. You get me to the spreadsheet stuff and it's rough. So it's probably going to take me a lot longer than maybe somebody like Jake.
It took me 9 months. Like, you're in month 3 and you're doing better than I was doing. That's for darn sure. Good job. Colton Davis, somebody else I want to highlight, pick on, whatever you want to call it. I want to make sure I announce this again. I do not have favorites. What I have is I have top of mind. And the people that are top of mind are the people that are reaching out and are hungry. Colton Davis had another job, full-time job, mind you, for the past year, and has just made the transition to full-time real estate, quit his other job. All right, I'm very proud of him for doing it. I'm very proud of him for following basically a goal structure outline that he set forth to accomplish, and he did. Capper in what, your first year, Colton? Were you a capper in your first year or your second year? It's all good. He's in the restroom. I joke. Let's get back into this here. The lead generation model. All right. We all get really, really excited. Oh, we get so excited when we get our leads, because we think that leads are going to close. 1 out of 10 leads on average closes. Now, I will tell you that I've done some research on that 1 out of 10 statistic, and it's 1 out of 10 leads close that year, that rolling 12 months. It doesn't mean that some of those 9 out of 10 leads that you get aren't going to close eventually. It's just that an average is 1 out of 10 leads close over a rolling 12 months. Okay. So most people are better, and maybe this is where you can kind of, you'll start to know your own stats and stuff. But what you'll start to realize is that I would say about 50% of leads actually end up closing. But some of those 50%, I'll be honest with you, close 2 to 3 years down the road. Okay. So base yourself off of 1 out of 10. It's a great thing to think about. It's a great way to start getting over this and start to understand that why am I getting excited about something that has a 10% success rate? If you think about everything else in your world and your life, you've probably never got so excited about something that had a 10% chance of working out. But I'll tell you, in real estate, we get our first couple of leads and we get excited as hell. Jake's smirking because he's done it. We've all done it. I've done it. One of the things that I do that I like, just because Jake's smirking, is Jake. I found Jake got very excited about this one lead that he had, and we worked through it. He door knocked. He got somebody that was like, "Hey, I am looking to buy a house. I am looking to do this. I do want to go see this house, but I'm looking for a unicorn. Can you find it?" He found it. There was a builder that had basically this perfect model for these people. And we got really excited. He wanted me to come and do this tour with him. And this was an $800,000, $900,000 house. But Bruce was hearing all of the other things that were going on. We were going to go look at an $800,000 to $900,000 house, but their budget was like, what was it, $650, something like that?
Yeah, I think we came up like their house would probably be around like 560. So
yeah,
something like that. So, and they didn't want a new mortgage.
Yep. They had been looking for a house for the last 3 years. Sounded like they had even had other agents show them houses. You see, I view a lead as 1 out of 10. There's a less than 10%. There's a 10% chance they're going to be viable. But Jake was excited, and that's no discount to Jake in the slightest. I was the same way. He wasn't seeing those other 4 or 5 red flags that I was seeing. Right? He knew about them because he was telling me about them, but we get very excited, and we need to understand this little bucket, this little thing. A couple of things to point out here. This is your lead generation. This is your relationship management. What do we call this? Lead follow-up. Lead follow-up. All right, relationship management. I love that they have changed this little thing from lead follow-up to relationship management. And the reason why I like that they say this is because you guys have to understand that when you call to check in on a lead, you need to continue the relationship. Quit asking them about their damn home search when they're 6 months away from buying a home. That is not the way to build a relationship. But this is also why we get a little paralyzed when we're going to follow up with leads, because I've been telling you over and over again, quit asking them if they have any questions or about what they're doing. I mean, it's okay to ask that question, but you better have a little bit more meat on the bone when you call and follow up with leads. There's a difference between these two scenarios. Hey, Jake, what's going on today, man? It's Bruce. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm doing well. Hey, I'm just calling to follow up and check in. I know you're going to be buying a house with me in the next couple of months. So I wanted to see if you had any questions for me today.
Nope, nothing.
All right,
Excited
sounds good,
to
man.
get
Well,
to
hey,
it.
if you need anything, let me know.
Sounds good, Bruce. Thanks for calling.
Awesome, thanks. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Jake, what's going on, man? It's Bruce, real estate agent, man. How are you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm doing well. Hey, I know you're about I think 8 months now from maybe taking a look at buying a home. So I'm not calling you today about that, my friend. I'm calling one to make sure that you always have my name and number available in case you do have questions, because as you go throughout this process and this journey, Jake, real estate's going to become top of mind. And I always want to make sure that I stay top of mind for you, because you are going to interact and you are going to come across other people that are looking to buy a home. And so I'm going to be touching base with you periodically, 1, to see if you have any questions, and 2, to make sure you know that I'm there for you, your friends, and your family, and anybody in your life that might be looking to buy a home. So anyways, Jake, being that you're saving up to buy a home and kind of, working on your down payment, are you doing anything fun for the summer?
Nope, not really. Just saving up money, like you said.
Yeah, right on, right on. Well, hey, I'll tell you what, Jake. Something I do for everybody in my phone list, in my contact list, whatever you want to call it, is I pump out basically local area events that are free. And I know that you're trying to save up for the down payment on your home. So one thing I noticed is we kind of met randomly. I got your phone number. I don't really have an email address for you that I can send these free events to. So you do live in Loveland, right? You told me you're working in Loveland, or you're
Yes.
sorry, renting in Loveland.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, hey, what's a good email address? I can send you over this little flyer thing that I have for all these events going around in and around Loveland.
JakeBrown@gmail.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'll get those free events over to you, so you and your friends, your family, whoever you want to take out, you guys can go have fun and not have to worry about money, so you can continue to save. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bruce. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet, man. I'll talk to you later. Peace. 2 minutes in and out, provide value, ask for referrals, and provide value. Let's go. Next. Your follow-up shouldn't take that much time. If you do have a long-winded conversation, great, build that relationship. But this is relationship management, not just checking in with your leads, okay? Questions about this? I'm gonna move on. I kind of probably hit everything. All right, this is a cool one. I like this one. Prospecting versus marketing. Prospect is versus marketing. Julie Sanborn is smirking because she just kind of said this a little bit ago. We're going to kind of go through this briefly. We just hit the nail on the head earlier with Julie. Marketing is money intensive, it's passive, and it has long-term results. All right, quit thinking that you guys are going to be able to email your database and you're going to get massive responses because you emailed 500 people. I'd rather contact 20 people than email 500 people, because the results from me interacting with 20 people is going to be much more of a long-term success than, or a short-term success than emailing 100 different or 500 different people. All right. Prospecting takes a little bit more time. It's proactive, but the results become immediate. Julie is a prime example of that. I've been trying to get her to call her sphere for weeks and months, and she's been wanting to do the long-term way. Well, I can just email them, and I can, text them, and I can add people to my database, and, I can, call them, right? Call them, go door knocking, get in front of people. That's what creates your immediate results. I always tell people, are you looking for money, or are you looking to create relationships? If you're looking to create relationships, go ahead and text and DM them. That's 100% fine. You will get results over time. Spending a bunch of money on mailers and marketing and stuff like that will work, but it works through consistency over time. So if you have to be frustrated with yourself about the lack of income, it's probably because you're spending more time up here in your thought process than you are down here. Go out and do. Talked about that. Talked about that. All right. Now, I keep beating over the head with you guys with making sure that you guys are talking to people face to face, all right, or over the phone. Obviously, that is the best ways to build relationships. But you have to understand and face it. We all have different personalities. We all have different ways that we like to receive information. I don't know why, but I'm a little bit of an odd duck. Every time I get the mail, I go through every piece of mail. I like postcards for some reason. Postcards work on me. But I guarantee you half of the people in here they dismiss them. They go right to the trash. All right. But I'm a little opposite on the other end of the spectrum. If you send me an email with multiple paragraphs, it will be the last email that I read, because I don't have time for it. Some of you guys see a long email and think, ooh, I can read this long email versus making a phone call. My mind says, ooh, this long email causes me not to make phone calls, and that's now I'm frustrated, and I'm going to wait to read this email at the end of the day. Because obviously anybody who had the time to type up that long of an email to me was afraid to just pick up the phone and call me. That's my mentality, right? So everybody in your database, in your sphere of influence, has a different mentality, which means All forms of communication need to happen in your touch program. Because if they're not, you're missing the different mentalities of the people that are in your world. All right. Categorizing your sphere of influence. I say this all the time. If your sphere of influence, if your database has people in it, you probably need to understand that over time, your database is going to have at least 7 or 8 tags in your CRM to identify those people. I apologize to some of the people that I've interacted with on a Friday and yesterday. We're going to go over some of those same things, but you need to hear it. You need to hear it again and again and again and again. The way that I envision a database is if you take a 5-gallon bucket and you place it in front of you and you just dump all of your contacts into your 5-gallon bucket. That's your database. Now you take those little red Solo cups and I want you to take out everybody out of your database. I want you to put red Solo cups in the bottom of the bucket. And then I want you to strategically put your contacts in the different Solo cups. And those Solo cups are the different categories or the different tags that you have for your database. Here's some examples of how to categorize. You also understand that I use the ABC method. If you guys want to chat with me about that offline, we can do that. We're not going to get into it on this video. You know what I can do before we jump any further here? For the people on this call, for the people that are listening, I love my sphere of influence class. It's a little different than this Ignite class, which is why I want to show you where the resource is at. So everybody has access to the YouTube page playlist that I have created with all of these trainings. This is where our Ignite trainings go. I want you to scroll down here. It's somewhere towards the middle. Here it is. Sphere of influence and how to effectively touch and reach out to them 36 times a year. That's changed, which is why I did a sphere of influence 2.0. Sphere of influence 2.0 goes over 42 times a year. Now that's going to change again because we have a 60 touch plan that just rolled out. But I will tell you guys that these 2 videos are very powerful. This is what's going to help you understand why you need to be talking to your sphere of influence and why it's easy. We just make it hard. So jump in, watch these videos. We're not going to take up our Ignite class going through that. Bold law, change the way you look at things and the things that you look at change. This is one of my favorites. What this means, you guys, is we have to change the way we look at our database. You see, when I look at my database of 200 people, do you know what my mind says? Let me do the math so I don't say this wrong. My mind does not look at my database of 200 people and think, oh, yeah, I have 200 people I can help buy or sell homes. No, I look at my database and think, okay, I'm in business. And the fact of the matter is I have relationships with 200 people. But before I got into real estate, I did not have that many relationships with that many people. So let's just break it down in half. If all 200 of my people that I know, love, and trust also know 100 people a piece that they know, love, and trust, is my database 200 or is my database 20,000? You see, my mind says that on paper, my database is, or my sphere of influence is about 200 people. In reality, though, effectively worked well and right. The reason why I can close 50 deals a year is because my database is actually 20,000 people. That's my mindset when I lead generate. I will tell my sphere of influence, look, I don't want you to move. Colton, if you move, you will no longer know people in your neighborhood that you're going to refer me that business. So my mindset is I want his people to move. I want Colton's people to refer me business. I don't want Colton to go anywhere or do anything in real estate. Maybe at the very least, I want Colton to get out of his rental situation and buy a house with me. But out of those 183 people that I have in my sphere of influence, I don't want them doing jack crap with me unless they're getting out of their rental situation or buying an investment property from me. It's beyond me to want my database to sell their home, because typically if they're selling their home, people don't really move that often from one end of town to the other anymore. They chose that part of town or whatever that was when they first moved in. If they want to sell their home now, they usually move outside of that neighborhood or I'm sorry, city. And oftentimes state, oftentimes hours away from me. And now they're no longer going to be my best friends. And that frustrates me. So change the way you look at your database, and the way you interact with your database changes. I'm convicted when I tell my database, don't sell with me. I don't want you to move. I don't even ask them if they ever thinking about selling their house. Because the fact of the matter is that if they're looking to sell their house, they're going to tell me, but I don't want them to. I want my mind to say 20,000. I get to interact with 200 people, and done effectively, I don't have to interact with 20,000 people. Does that make sense? Change the way you look at this job. Change the way you look at your database. Oh, I'm probably leading us down that same path here. Expand your sphere of influence. Add more personal information to your contacts. Don't be afraid. Helly Bandy, you on here? You able to chat? You able to be picked on?
Yes, I am.
Sweet. Where's your lovely face? Get it on here.
Okay, I'm standing, but I will.
I don't care if you're standing. I don't care if you're on the toilet.
Can you see me?
Yeah. So tell us, everybody, how it went when I advised you to go and reach out to your database and just clarify birthdays.
Good. I thought that they would think it was weird and like wonder why I was asking, but they were all super like nice about it, and they all gave me their birthdays.
Yes. You guys, this isn't hard. Expand it. All right. She was a little nervous about doing it. People like to talk about their birthdays. All right. It's okay to ask your friends for their email in which you don't know if they even have an email. It's okay for your friends not to have an email and tell you that they prefer to talk to you on social media. But expanding that personal information in your contacts is adding those notes in. So that way you understand that over time, okay, here, a lot of times, you guys, I have, how do I say this? I always tell you guys, I make my quarterly calls. I do, but there are probably maybe 50 people in my database or my sphere of influence that prefer, and we've had this conversation, for them to meet up in person and not do a quarterly call. So I do a quarterly face-to-face with some people, and some people in my database prefer a quarterly text. Those people that have that preference, if they don't respond to their preference, then I'm going to call them. But you guys need to expand it. You need to add all of that stuff in there. I need to know that Colton Davis has a dog named Fluffy and a cat named Boo Boo. And I know that Boo Boo just had surgery 2 weeks ago on her paw because she got a sticker in it from walking around outside. I need to know that Julie's son just got hit in the face with a baseball and that she had to go to the hospital and that it was quite a trying day. I need to know that Jake just missed out on an opportunity for a job promotion that he was really hoping to get, and that he was really hoping that he could finally sell his house with me to move to Florida. And that I'm sad for him that he didn't get a promotion, but I'm okay with still being his friend. You have to know who your sphere of influence is and what they do. That's the number one reason we run out of talking points when we do our quarterly calls. It's because we're not keeping up with them. We're not asking them personal questions.
Hey, real quick, just to chime in, if I can like provide a little motivation for y'all. I have literally spent the past 10 hours, don't worry, I got my lead gen in, but I've literally spent 10 hours going through all of my contacts. I have cleared out ones that, I don't know anymore, never talk to, never will. Maybe I don't even want to work with them. Yes, could they be a lead? Sure. But if you don't want to work with them, why would you? But in the notes section, I have started to develop all these things that you're kind of guiding us to do. And it sounds pretty daunting, but at the same time, it's actually been pretty fun too. Because while doing it, I've actually just given a few people a random call, even though it's not on a quarterly call plan necessarily, and had just fun conversations, things like that. But it's kind of fun going down memory lane and doing it.
Yeah, and adding to Bruce, sometimes you'll see something on Facebook. And so you want to go into your database and put that down that says, whatever, and put the date so that you can say, hey, man, a couple weeks ago, Bruce, I noticed that, whatever it is, right? Because that creates that relationship that you're trying to build, right? Bruce's whole reason for that SOI and all the things that he does is to build those relationships so that it becomes future business down the road, right?
Bingo. Bingo. Well said, Harry. Well said, Colton. It is fun, you guys. It is fun to interact and meet and converse with our clients. Or our database, or our sphere of influence. It is fun to go through and see how much information we have on some people and how eye-opening it is to understand how much more we need from other people. It needs to be done. Expanding your sphere. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, Bruce. Go ahead.
No, expanding your sphere of influence. All right. This means if somebody in your database asks you to go to a barbecue, go to the barbecue. It's hard enough to grab database members when you go door knock, cold call, and lead generate through cold methods. Go to barbecues. Go to I mean, gosh, it was the Avalanche just won the cup. I'm not an Avalanche fan, but you bet your butt I went to some Avalanche watch parties. That's the best way to expand your sphere of influence. Strengthen those connections. You're at the Avalanche watch party with the person that invited you to it. Now you're meeting new people. Every single time my database or sphere of influence invites me to go do something fun, I pretty much drop everything that's going on and I go do that. That is one thing I will miss a closing for. And I know people get frustrated at me for this, but last winter I missed a closing because I had a buddy of mine that wanted to go snowboarding. At first I told him, no, I can't, I got a closing. And he goes, oh man, okay, well, no, that's okay. That's good to know because we were trying to figure out how many vehicles we were going to take up. And that's when I said, wait, vehicles, what do you mean? I thought it was just him and I. And he says, no, like, I got a truck, my buddy's got a truck. And so we were going to probably about 8 of us up on the mountain that day. But that's okay that you can't go. And I said, well, let me work some magic and let me see what I can do. Count me in, I'll figure this out. And the reality is that I met 7 new people that day. And one of them is going through real estate. I don't have a lead success story. I didn't have a massive $1 million closing or anything. But one of those people is going through real estate school with Keller Williams down in Arvada. And my closing went fine. My buyers were not upset in the slightest. I signed all my paperwork online. And I went because I know how crucial that was to meet 7 new people.
Yeah, and the other thing, somebody will say to me, well, I can't do all those lead generation things. Can I get rid of something? I always say, sure, but never get rid of your SOI, right? Because it's the one thing that no matter what else I do in coaching and everything else, I still call my sphere of influence people every quarter. I just do it because I'm hoping to get referrals. I'm hoping to get business just through my SOI, even though I'm not as active in it as I'd like to, but never, ever discount your SOI because your SOI is going to create future business for you. So if there's anything you say, I got to cut something out, don't cut your SOI and making those phone calls and contacts with those people. It's just that crucial, right?
Bingo. All right, expanding your sphere of influence, expanding it, joining groups. All right, I don't think I have to beat this like a dead horse, but you guys, we want to have, and we want to train you guys and teach you guys and whatever you guys want to call it, to build a life that you want, to have a career worth having and a life by design. It's okay to join all of your nonprofits. It's okay to join your meetups. It's okay to go to a gun club. It's okay to join a meetup hiking group. It's okay to join a soccer team. It's okay to join softball. Do it. Do it. Real estate will naturally come up. The more groups that you join, yes, the more time that it will take out of your day. If you have young ones, it's a little harder to join groups, but that's okay too, because that also means that you need to figure out things to do with your people in your life, your little ones, those types of things. And so maybe groups aren't the thing for you if you have kids, but this still expands on go to the networking events that your own sphere provides to you, the barbecues, the family-friendly events, those things. If you have the opportunity, go join a golf league, go join any of that. Questions? Okay, we're almost done, wrapping up. Referrals, okay, I just told you guys, when I look at my database, I absolutely look at my database of 200 and think 20,000. I want referrals. I train my database to give me referrals. I have trained my database so well that they lead generate for me. Okay, train your database to do so. Use the car script, use those things. Hey, Julie, I know I've been bombarding you. I know that I've been calling. I know that I just made a transition into real estate and that you're hearing from me over and over and over again. You see, the reality is that I'm not looking for you to ever like be pushed into selling your home with me or buying a home. The reality is that I continue to call you a couple times a year because I want to be top of mind. So when you see somebody from your own work, from your life, from your church, from your circle of friends that have real estate questions, you think of me, Julie. So that's why I call. I hope you're having a great day. Do you have any questions for me about why I'm calling so much? Blah, 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 blah. Build and brand your database to refer you business. So that way, when you get in my position, it's been 3 years. No, it's been 2.5 years since I've actively lead generated through my database. I still try and make my quarterly calls, but let's face it, my job now is to help you guys. But I also have realized that I did a really good job and everybody's just referring me the business. I'm getting calls and I haven't called people. You guys can do the same thing, I promise. Here's some scripts. It's simple, not easy. Simple, not easy. All right, we're done, I think. Lead generation press. All right, I'm gonna do a time blocking class, I believe next week from 12 to 1. Mark it on your calendars. I think the location is still to be determined. I pretty much told Shannon to put me in the Firestone or Fort Collins office, in which there'd be the most people that show up. And so we're going to talk about time blocking. And so that's going to be kind of a subset, but to end this thing, tracking your leads, auditing your leads, diversify your database, be consistent with it. We're going to go over all of those points when we talk about how to manage your calendar, how to time block, how to manage your calendar, how to set yourself up for success. And all of these are components. You see, one of the number one things that was happening with me in my real estate career was I was tracking in a similar way that Julie is. When I was getting going, it was more of yesterday I talked to around 5 people. Yes, this other day I talked to, talking to around 40, 50 people a week. That's perfectly fine. I kept telling myself I didn't have time to track, right? How do you do that? Where do you go? Now I got sticky notes everywhere. I've got a tally sheet in my car. I can't remember what day that was from. I'm going to teach you guys how to add so many things to your calendar so you can effectively get everything done. Prepare, take action, maintain. We talk about this in every Ignite class. We're not going to hit that too much, But if you're not preparing, if you're not looking at tomorrow and understanding what exactly you're going to be doing. So what is everybody doing tomorrow, right? Colton Davis, what is on your calendar for tomorrow that is going to derail your lead generation plans?
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, no, you're-
I have to take my cats to the vet, but it's not going to get in the way of my lead gen. So,
right. What time is that?
I got to be there at 7, drop them off, and then I have my lead gen scheduled for 11 a.m. And that is going all the way till 2 p.m. So 3 hours.
Yes. Fantastic. All right. That's what we're going to go through is how do you do that? How do you balance? How do you juggle? All right. I had no idea you were going to have all of that ready, but I appreciate that. He knows that, right? Now, regardless of whether he just looked at his calendar on his phone and whatnot, he's planned his day for tomorrow, and you need to as well. Some people do it the day before. Some people do it the morning of. I'm a morning of kind of guy. If you ask me what tomorrow looks like, I can tell you that I have some time in the afternoon available, but I can't tell you exactly what I'm doing tomorrow morning besides meeting with Julie at 9:30. Other than that, I'm not 100% sure because every day I wake up, I get my exercise in, I eat my food, I make my coffee, and then I sit down with my calendar and my emails and my voicemails and my text messages from yesterday, and I build my day every day. That's it. We're done. We're just going to hit this on the head. This is an interactive class. You guys need to be putting up 50 conversations a week if you want business. 50 conversations a week, you can either build relationships or you can ask for business. The choice is yours. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? Awesome. Take care, you guys.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.
See
Appreciate
you
it.
guys.
Thank you both.